this is Sharon from Crafty and Creative Ideas.blogspot.com. I'm here today to bring another one of my Wow That's Cool videos from my series. And this one is actually on a class instruction that I'm doing on the Garden and Bloom stamp set. I did an introduction video that you can catch, and it's just I'm just showing you how to work with the Garden and Bloom stamp set. Then we made this lovely cardstock, custom cardstock paper, which we are going to use to make this stationery box. Now we're going to make the cards for the stationery to go into the box and a custom envelope to match it and liner. So we're going to get started, shall we? 4 bases that will be 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. So we're going to be starting out with black Memento ink, and you're also going to need Blushing Bride, So Saffron, Soft Sky, and Pear Pizzazz, in addition to the black Memento for our outline. So we're going to start with the outline of the flower, and what I would do is, if you didn't catch the introduction video, I would jump back over there and get those first, because I show you how to line up the stamp sets with the arrows using Garden Bloom, and how you work the stamp set itself. So you might be lost in this video if you don't jump back and just get the basics of how to use the stamp set. And then part 1 is where we did actually walk through the whole process, and then they made the cardstock for the box that we're going to make. So we're going to get started on this card station, or cards as it is here. We want to take remember where our arrow is. We're going to take the outline of our stamp set, ink it up good with Memento, and we're going to take a flower in the center, and then I want to run one right off the paper. And the same thing. Now you're going to be doing all 4 of your cards at the same time here, and I've already got one going here. Then next I'll be working the outlines. I'm going to be doing all the outlines. This, and this, and the B. We're doing all the outlines first while we have the black ink. Now I'm going to take the larger leaf. There's my point. So I want to make sure I remember which way the point was going when I used this stamp. And I'm going to put one leaf here, like so. I'm going to put a leaf up here, a leaf this way, and then I'm going to also put a leaf on the corners of the bottom of the paper. I'm going to work with the little flower outline, and once again I have my little point, and I'm going to remember the direction that I laid those on the card. Everything I'm pointing about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock on these. I'm going to take the tiny leaf, which is this little one, and we're going to stamp with that. The little point is not a leaf, it is the lining up point for the stamp. I'm going to take my little bumblebee, the outline of him. You can tell, where his little antlers are, or whatever, that you just have to point those in the direction that you want him sitting on the card. I'm just going to have him buzzing up out of there. Now we're done with our black outline, so we can get rid of that ink out of the way. And we're going to move over now to our Blushing Bride. Now we're going to be doing the second layer and the third layer of with the Blushing Bride. On the big flower, we want to find our point. There's my point, and I know that I laid it out this time at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, so I need to turn this petal around. When I do the first layer of the stamping, which is this one, I usually stamp off on paper first and then onto the image. This one I do directly from the pad. So I'm going to ink up with the Blushing Bride, and we're going to do all these cards at one time. So now when I line this up, I know that my arrow was somewhat this direction, so now it'll line up really easily to find how to place the petal, this into your petal. And I just told you to stamp off and I forgot to stamp off. So anyway, stamp off and then stamp onto the flower. And if you don't, it's like it's not the end of the earth, but I just like the shadowing more when I do that. Now we want the inside of the petal, and it's going to have 4 little pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the little point that's sticking out. Now this one I do directly stamp right onto the card itself. So I know that this was pointing around 1 o'clock-ish before, and I want to just line this up into my petal. And I'm not stamping off first. I just want to see the pretty shadowing that does then. And then the last one. We're going to do the same thing with So Saffron. We're going to take the second layer of the flower, and then we're going to take the center. We're going to stamp off first, ink with the So Saffron, stamp off first, and then we're going to catch the flower the center point of the flower, and we're going to do full strength ink on that and line it up. Use the Soft Sky, and we want to work with the 2 pieces in the center of the flower. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to stamp off first and then stamp back on. Center of the petal, and we want full strength ink on that. Now we're going to need the Pear Pizzazz, and we're going to go back and we're going to start with the larger leaf, which is going to be this, and then we're going to use the small points. So we're going to go back, and I like to stamp off, stamp on. Now I'm going to take the smaller part of that, and we're going to do full strength ink inside as an accent. It adds a lot of shadowing is what it does. Now we're going to go back and take the small leaf inside the piece, and I'm just going to use those as full strength because they don't have the separate shadow one. Back with our So Saffron, and we're going to take the inside. It's just like a thumbprint for the bee center, and we're gonna go full strength on that. Okay, temporarily we're going to move these out of the way for a second, and we're going to take our vellum And I'm going to take all 3 pieces at one time here. For these I used the triple banner punch, and these are at 1 inch, so I'm going to put this in and I'm going to do my banner punch first, the edge of it. I'm going to do all 3 of those. I'm going to need my Memento ink again, and I'm going to stamp up the Hope You're Feeling Special Today. And I'm going to get about 1 inch away from the edge and be able to stamp. And I'm going to do that on the other 2 pieces also. But you're going to measure from the point of here to the end and measure 5 inches, and then we're going to trim the excess off. You need a marker, and you're going to need the fine tip point of the marker. Whoops. And we're going to make a little buzz trail from the bee. So you're just going to start drawing little kind of make them. You can make them different, each one if you want. I'm going to tie a couple of small bows. Now what I did was to take a 2-way glue pen, and I just made a little mark in the flower where you're not going to see where this would adhere and where I want to lay this. And then I did the same thing on this flower, like right in the flower, just so this holds the vellum from moving around on the card. And I'm going to do that on all 3. I want to take the glue dot and be able to put that on the vellum. Okay, now we have our 4 cards for our stationery. And then we'll be ready to, on the next video. Due to the YouTube 15-minute time limit on videos, I had to remove the instruction for the liners for the envelopes. But you can find those class instructions on my video line size envelope. So the next video would be that one with the liners, and then you would jump over to the box one. I'm sorry about the inconvenience. So now we have all the stationery, the 4 pieces of stationery that we need, the cards with the matching envelopes, and that's all done. And now if you want to hop over to the next video, if you've enjoyed this video, if you could give it a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. And until the next video, God bless.